Hey guys, Quanbear here, and today we're going to be talking about Guardian Druid specific legendaries. I hope you enjoy. So today, we're going to be covering the 9 legendary powers that Guardian Druids will be able to use in the Shadowlands. I'm going to first start off with the General Druid legendary powers, as well as the 1 legendary power that can be used across all tanks. So, let's get started with that all-tanking one, shall we? Which is Vitality Sacrifice. What this does is the first time you deal damage to an elite enemy, you're going to absorb the next 10,000 to 13,000, that's about the average we're getting on the beta, damage from that enemy and reflect it back at them. You may only have 1 shield active at a time, and this effect can only occur once every minute. This legendary is actually pretty strong for a good bit of tanks on the beta right now, and has been for most of the beta builds that it's been in. Specifically, Demon Hunter's been using a lot, and I know for myself and some other Guardian Druids, we've been using it in Mythic Plus as well. It's going to be interesting to see how good this legendary is going to scale compared to other legendaries throughout the expansion, but for now, it's a pretty strong contender in like Mythic Plus. The next legendary I'm actually going to cover is Lycara's Fleeting Glimpse. So, what this legendary actually does is every 45 seconds that you're in combat, you are going to cast a spell based on your form for free. So what does that mean? So, let's say you're in base form and human form. 45 seconds into combat, you're going to cast Wild Growth for free. If you're in cat form, it's going to be Primal Wrath. If you're in bear form, you're going to get a free bark skin. If you're in Moonkin, you actually get to use Starfall. And if you're like in travel form, you'll get Stampeding Roar. This legendary is actually pretty interesting because it could give you massive power with Starfall if you took Balance Affinity. That is overall, as it's been said by Pumps and other people, it could be a 40% of our damage overall if that's thrown into like a big AoE fight. Realistically, I don't see this legendary being used a lot, but it does have some interesting plays if you combo it with like going into Moonkin form, or if you went into cat form, you get a 5 CB, a 5 like combo point Primal Wrath. So I'm very interested to see how this legendary will scale over the expansion. The next legendary I'm going to cover is Oath of the Elder Druid. This is essentially Eco Wraith, Creative Worlds from Legion, but now it has an added bonus of getting Heart of the Wild for 10 seconds every minute. Overall, this is a pretty solid legendary. It's very good tanking wise, right? It's pretty simple. It will already passively like buff your Thick Hide by 75%, and defensively increases your Juicer's Gift by 2%. So overall, it's going to be pretty good. The next one I'm going to cover is Circle of Life and Death. So what the Circle of Life and Death does is your damage over time effects deal their damage in 25% less time, and your healing over time effects in 15% less time. So this is a decent buff to like our dots, and has really good synergy with the Necrolord Coven ability, Adaptive Swarm. The Adaptive Swarm ability will come from the Necrolords in Shadowlands, so it's going to have its interesting effects. Personally, I don't think this legendary is going to do very well over the expansion, considering most of our dots are not that strong, and Adaptive Swarm may be really solid in single target, but outside of that, you're only buffing like 2 things realistically. Now, the next one I'm going to cover is Draught of Deep Focus. So what this does is when Moonfire, Rake, Rip, or Rejuve are active on a single target, their effects are increased by 30%. Honestly, this might be a pretty strong legendary for the Cat Weaving build if you combo it with Heart of the Wild, because you're just going to make that damage scale significantly on the target. Outside of that, this legendary is pretty useless, in my opinion. So now I want to be covering the Guardian Druid specific legendary powers, starting off with Lufa's Infused Embrace. So what this legendary does is Thrash has 20% increased damage, 30% increased radius, and can stack 1 additional time. As you can tell, this is essentially a combination of Elise's Everlasting Casement and Lufa Wrappings from Legion. Unfortunately, because Thrash is kind of weaker compared to its other iterations, as well as we don't have like a powerful Thrash conduit to combo with it, this legendary is probably going to be outshined by other legendaries that we are able to use here in Shadowlands. So the next legendary I'm going to cover is the Natural Order's Will. What this legendary does is Barkskin reduces damage by an additional 15% when it begins or ends in bear form, you gain Iron Fur and Frenzied Regeneration. This is an extremely powerful defensive legendary, and is the top contender for high-end Mythic Plus and for rating. Being able to get both those for free is just insane, as well as you're going to be able to combo this legendary with like Survival of the Fittest, which is a talent we can take, which reduces the cooldowns of Bark Skin and Survival Instincts by 33%, and a new conduit that we have called Toughest Bark, which Bark Skin's cooldown is reduced by 10%. This legendary is just going to be very, very strong, and I'm very excited to see how it's going to perform in high Mythic Plus and in rating. I sure know I will be using it. And the whole Bark Skin build, it being a meme, is not a meme. It's going to be very, very, very good. The next legendary I'm going to cover is Ursoc's Fury Remembered. So what this legendary does, in bear form, Thrash has a 15% chance to trigger an additional Thrash. Thrash grants you an Absorb Shield for 100% of all damage it deals. As you can tell, the first part is kind of inspired by the artifact trait in Legion called Positive Outlook, which, by the way, had a great name, as Pumps has kind of pointed out. The second part is brand new to the legendary that actually got added like 1 or 2 builds ago. It being able to give you an Absorb Shield for 100% of the damage it deals is very good. This legendary is becoming probably, if not the best legendary for Mythic Plus outside of the whole Bark Skin build. This legendary, as it says, is based on all damage it deals. This is also right now including dots and the bleed from Thrash. As well as this legendary being able to have synergy with like Convoke the Spirits and Earth Warden, which is the talent you'll probably take anyways. It's just really good. I'm very excited to see how this legendary is going to do over the expansion. The only part that potentially will get it nerfed is that it's currently double dipping with versatility and mastery, which is making it even stronger than it should be. But hopefully Blizzard doesn't change that and lets it keep it the way it is, to be honest. The final legendary I'm going to cover is Legacy of the Sleeper. So what this legendary does is Berserk in bear form grants 25% increased damage, 15% leech, and immunity to effects that cause loss of control of your character. Its cooldown is also reduced by 30 seconds. This legendary is pretty strong, considering this is essentially Rage of the Sleeper from Legion, except it doesn't have all the best effects. That's why it's called Legacy. This legendary has a chance to be very strong in Mythic Plus, especially later on when you're going to be able to add a second legendary to your character, in comboing with like the Venthyr Covenant ability, which has a Kiss Curse effect by if you stop moving or doing damage, it stuns you and deals damage. This counteracts it entirely, so you'll take no damage and will not lose control of your character. So I'm very excited to see how Legacy of the Sleeper is going to do overall, but unfortunately compared to like its Legion counterpart, it's just not as good. But hopefully it'll get better. Overall, all of the legendaries we've received so far are pretty interesting or good. I'm kind of hoping as the expansion goes on, some of these get some more love, or potentially our playstyle as Guardian Druids change to maybe better work with other legendaries. But you'll have to let me know what you think about that in the comments below. So, that's it when it comes to the Guardian Druid legendary powers in Shadowlands. Let me know what you think about them in the comments below, or what video you'd like me to make next. My name is Kwan, and I'll be talking to you guys hopefully very soon. Take care.